Hello, everyone. It's the Sky Priestess. I just wanted to do this video today because the next 24 hours or so, almost exactly 24 hours, we're actually going to be seeing two major shifts. First of all, Venus will be leaving the sign of Libra and entering Scorpio, and the Sun will be leaving the sign of Scorpio and entering Sagittarius. So there's some shifts in who's occupying the space of Scorpio and how we're going to be processing and working with those energies and so on and so forth. I mean, truthfully speaking, there is a tremendous force with Scorpio at this time, and it's only going to continue till December the 15th because we actually have to wait not only for Venus to then finish moving through Scorpio. Mercury's are also got to do it, and so on and so forth. But effectively speaking, Scorpio season is not just the range of when the sun enters one sign and then goes to the next. So with all of these energies coming up in Scorpio, it's good to take a step back and just think about what that actually means for us, because with everything happening right now, sometimes it's best to come back to the basics. It's best to come back and say, okay, this is what this focus is on, this is what I need to have a look at, and this is how I can proceed and progress through the months that are coming, or rather I should say the weeks that are coming. 2020 is coming to a close, thank God. So I can see lots of you online. Let me just take a quick moment to acknowledge who's here, just because I want to. Hello, Dusana. Hello, Sheena. Hello, Latoya. Hello, Mackie. Hello, Valerie. Hi, Jesse. Hi, Joyous Day. Hello, Magneto. Hello, Monica. Hello, Dragon Ascension Therapies. Quite a few of you are tier 23. So it's lovely to see you. It's absolutely lovely to see you. Oh, hello, Candy. Hello, Dancer, the Sugar Plum Fairy. Hello, Angela. It's like, hey, everyone's lit up. Okay, that's good. Getting back to it. So as we're seeing Venus moving into Scorpio, and we're seeing the sun leaving Scorpio, making a getaway, so to speak, we got to ask ourselves, what do all of these shifts focus on? So the basics, focus on the basics. What's Scorpio about? Everyone's got a meaning of it, right? Everyone's got an understanding of what each sign is. And I'm not here to tell someone they're right or wrong about it. I'm just here to share what I know about it. And maybe that resonates with you, maybe it doesn't. One of the most influential books that I ever read, and I read very few books, not because, I think that I'm better than the other authors or whatever, but even what I read, what I take in, how I engage with, new sources of information is all spirit directed. So even if I want to, they'll be like, I'll be like, okay, fine. But one of the most influential books that I say I was permitted to come across is an introduction to astrology by a person called Gargatholil, Gargatholil. It's a very unusual name. And Gargatholil gives you an understanding of the basics, but from a very, very philosophical level. And since I already started with an academic background, that made a lot of sense to me. Because my journey with astrology was very intuitive, it just woke up. It was a case of just getting into the groove with someone who was speaking the language that my energy was speaking without me even realizing it. So Gargatholil, Gargatholil, was a very, very formative and influential source in developing my own understanding. Of course, a lot of it is observation, past life memories, and so on and so forth. And of course, I learn the more I facilitate. Facilitators don't just stop learning. They learn with each case. They learn with each experience. They learn with each person they meet. But all of this is a roundabout introduction to say, let's get to Scorpio. So, when people talk about Scorpio season, there's always a lot of this intense, mysterious, occult, sexual shadow that comes up. And, that's that's the branding that Scorpio gets. That's all true. But if we also were to look at the energetic guts of Scorpio, it's not just about power. It's not just about control. It's not just about what's hidden. It's also about what powers us. What is I always think about this from a biological perspective, right? We all of you should have some basic understanding of the cellular structure. And I always think about the powerhouse of the cell, what actually gives you the ability to go and do what you are doing. And that's how I've always felt Scorpio to be. And I remember when I used to write a lot more, I used to describe Scorpio as the place where the phoenix goes to die. Because if you're going to be reborn, if you're going to find alchemy and transformation and rebirth, you're going to have to die first at some level. So it's kind of that pit where all of that transformation happens. For those of you, who Wiccans and witches and so on and so forth, you can think of it as the cauldron. And of course, the symbols associated with Scorpio, for example, and I'm sure it's not limited to these, the eagle is very, very commonly associated with Scorpio, and of course, the scorpion itself, and of course, the phoenix. So, this is really all about, I would say, at different levels. It's about taking something that on the surface looks difficult, complicated, quote unquote, dark, and doing something with it, churning with it, creating something different with it. And as you are creating something new with the ingredients that you have, your perspective, represented by the eagle, elevates. Now, that doesn't mean to say that going, deep is bad or regressive. That's not what that means. The symbol of the eagle is to actually be able to take a bird's eye perspective and understand this is actually what's happening here. So, for example, when there is something difficult happening, you got to go into it. You got to go into it. You got to look at it. You've got to really feel into it and take the time to observe. Get right down into the truth of what you are feeling and the truth of the energy, and then your perspective transforms. That to me is the possibility of Scorpio. I mean, even though Scorpio season for someone who is in the metaphysical world like myself is usually very difficult because the cases then become much, much, much harder. I think today alone, I've been doing something like 10 hours of energetic work and intense meditation and focus, just because there's been so much of shifting energy going on. I mean, some of my work is personal, some of it is collective, and so on and so forth. A lot of it is in helping to hold energy and move energy for the collective in a certain way. But it's that time. Scorpio is a busy time for an energy worker of any level. So when we are seeing these shifts, Venus going in, the sun going out, you got to ask yourself, okay, what's Venus going to be asking us to look at? So that means Venus is right now at the very tail end of Libra. And Venus at the tail end of Libra is really asking you to think about your commitments. Are you really going to say yes to that? Are you really going to say no to that? Is that the relationship you want? Is that the business that you're interested in? Are these the values that you really want to, put your foot down for and say, hey, this is what I stand for? So these are some of the kinds of questions of discernment that people are being pushed to at a collective level. So it's about choosing what it is that you are actually going to engage with at a very deep level between tomorrow and December the 15th. So look at where you are putting your energy, your focus, your presence. For some people, it's going to be all about intimacy. For some people, it's going to be about alchemy at a magical level. For other people, it's going to be a focus on health. For some people, it might be a generation of finances and all kinds of things. Scorpio isn't just these things. It tends to revolve around these more often than not, but there's also other things that can come up. So it's about really getting down and committed, being willing to show your vulnerability, being willing to experience and express yourself in a way where you can't avoid seeing the truth, And that's really the only way through Scorpio, from a spiritual perspective. Now, when people are talking about the controlling nature of Scorpio and whatnot, that tends to be Scorpios who, shall we say, have not embraced the spiritual gifts and potentials of their sign. And that happens when people have individual placements in Scorpio. The question is, hang on. I'm seeing that someone saying that there's sound lost. Oh, come on. Am I back yet? Okay, I'm just gonna wait and see. All right, do we have sound again? Okay, is it back? Yes, it is. Okay, so now, as I was saying, it also comes down to individual placements. So if someone's asking, okay, what if you have Venus and Scorpio? The same thing applies. So it's about where you're actually willing to dig deep and go and look for the truth. And Venus typically refers to your relationships, Venus typically refers to your contracts, your material belongings and possessions. It can sometimes refer to your sisters or women or female beings that you interact with. And generally speaking, it's your connection with the feminine as a whole. So, all of these questions, all of these areas of your life are going to be the things that you really need to look at. Now, maybe this is something that's a very personal thing to you. Okay. Maybe it's part of your spiritual journey. Okay. Maybe it's what you do in the public eye. Okay. That all depends on where it is in your chart. So it's very hard to generalize and say, well, I have this and this sign. You got to look at what it aspects, what house it's in, and so on and so on and so on and so forth. So, basically, this is the kind of energy where you really want to look at, generally speaking, the manifestation and experience of the feminine that you have in your life. And the feminine is in all things and in all beings as an archetype. It's not just limited to women. It is a movement, it is a form, it is a state of formlessness, it is a state of pause, it is a state of grace. There is just a quality, a dimensional aspect of what is the feminine that gets brought up with Venus. At least that's the way I see it. So, you're going to say, okay, so that's Venus. We get somewhat of an idea of what's going to be focusing on in terms of what the skies are doing between tomorrow and December the 15th. So what about the sun in Sag? Now, most of you following me will have some Sagittarian aspect somewhere. You're not going to be drawn to astrology or divination without something there. Even if it's a very minor asteroid that you've got a lot of past karma with, there'll be something there. The sun in Sag, this Sag season that's about to start is also about finding the right pathways. It's about deciding what road you're going to take. So even though strictly speaking, we're not looking at any major aspects between the two, but in some sense you can think about the work of the deep, 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 intense transmutation and alchemy that Venus is asking you to do as the precursor for the steps that you then take with the sun in Sagittarius. So in other words, you got to go deep and start from a place of truth before you engage that sun, before you engage the Sagittarian energy. And that is something which, frankly, the world needs a lot more of at this time. I mean, there are some truly challenging alignments right now. There are some truly challenging aspects right now, especially when you look more so into the details. And, everyone's living this reality in different ways, obviously. So we know that stuff's happening. And the best thing that we can do is do what we can for the collective, but take care of yourself first. Because if you do not honor the expression of feminine or femininity of the feminine archetype in your life, you're not going to be able to do much with the material reality anyway. So give yourself permission to go back to what actually matters. Clarify, repurpose, get a deep and intuitive feeling and connection with the truth that you want to see in the world and what you actually need to manifest it step by step and bit by bit. So, generally speaking, the sun in Sag is not about those pauses. It's not about really taking the time to think. It's a very gung-ho kind of attitude. Yes, that's true, but let's also remember that we have the South Node in Sagittarius. I would say the wiser part would be to resist that instant, desire to just jump into something without perspective. So take a moment, go deep, and think about things, feel into things before you actually come forth with something else. I know this is general, but to be honest, to be any more specific, you would really need to be looking at a chart. But hopefully this is enough just to give you a little bit of orientation as to what's coming up and how you can best deal with it in different ways. The only thing I would say health-wise, watch the health of your hips. If you're doing anything that's particularly physically stimulating or energizing or engaging or whatever, you want to have a little bit more body awareness. If you are interested in conceiving, if you're interested in looking at your fertility or getting your prostate checked or whatever, this is a good month to be doing all of that stuff. And it's really just it's time to just look at what makes you tick and what do you need to do to, increase and enhance that vital primal drive that comes from the core of you, So these are things that you can do at a practical level. The world is the world. And what we do and the way we live also contributes to that vibration. Even if we see chaos all around us, we still need to keep walking as best we can. What it does, what ripples it creates, maybe we'll never know. But that is the best that each individual can be doing at this time. That being said, I would say that's a wrap. Let me just have a quick look at the comments to see who's here. Hang on, hang on. So, okay, a lot of you have joined. Hi, Moth Mary. Hi, Yessie. Hi, Priya. Hi, S. Claude. Roses and Bees. Anthony, Soel, Crystalline, Jonathan, VB, Derek, Aileen, Thelma, Myla. Let's see, who else is here? DJ Drea, hello. Hi, Emily. Hi, Valerie, Karen, Tamika, Daphne, and Nomad Lozi, Carolina. Nice to see all of you, and thank you for joining in today. Oh, and Larry. So, lots of love, very many blessings. Don't let the hype get to you. No matter what sign it is, no matter what season it is, keep at your practice. All right. Ciao, ciao for now. Bye bye.